everyone. All right, good. My name is Anwar Omish, and I have the great pleasure of serving as the current president of the Phillips Brooks House Association. I'm very excited to welcome you all tonight to the Phillips Brooks House Association's 12th annual Robert Coles Call of Service Lecture and Award. This annual lecture and award brings a prominent leader in public service to campus every fall to inform the Harvard and wider communities about important social issues, as well as to inspire deeper engagement in social justice. It's so wonderful to see such a great audience for this year's event, honoring the deserving Mayor Carmen Yulín Cruz. I want to extend a warm welcome to my fellow students, to Harvard faculty and staff, to PBHA alumni back for Alumni Weekend, and community partners from across the greater Boston area. We would also like to give special thanks to the on-campus and community partners listed on your program who have supported this afternoon and evening's events. We're so grateful here at PBHA. We are also very grateful this year to our host committee, which is made up of community leaders who aided us in the planning and execution of this wonderful event. Their names are listed on the back of your programs. We are also honored to be joined by so many city and state officials tonight, including Mayor McGovern and Mayor Walsh earlier this evening. Thank you all so much for your support. It is only with your continued commitment to our programs and to our student volunteers that makes the impact that we make possible. So thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Jonathan L. Walton. I am the Plummer Professor of Christian Morals and Pusey Minister here in the Memorial Church, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to this space of grace at the center of Harvard Yard. The Memorial Church was dedicated on Armistice Day in 1932 as a war memorial to honor those of Harvard and Radcliffe, men and women who paid the ultimate price in the Great War. The war to end all wars, it was believed. Unfortunately, we know that was not the case. And since that time, the list has grown. Now, 1,113 names are inscribed upon these walls. Alums of Harvard and Radcliffe who lost their lives in World War I and II, Korea, and Vietnam. Their names stand over us. They stand over us as both inspiration and judgment, service and sacrifice, veritas, our motto here at Harvard, that quest for truth, as well as caritas, love demonstrated through service. Service and sacrifice. What does it mean, in the words of Phillips Brooks, to lose ourselves into eternity? And this is why it's so appropriate that we're here in this place, this monument of service and sacrifice, that we honor one who has given herself exactly to that. We're honoring one in Mayor Cruz that has given herself to exactly what God requires of us: seeking justice, loving mercy, and walking humbly in that service. I would also be remiss if I didn't recognize and we did not honor the man for whom this annual lecture and award is named. That is the person, Dr. Robert Coles. Dr. Coles has meant so much to so many. And for those of you who are not familiar, where does one even begin? PBHA volunteer and board member, child psychologist and civil rights activist, longtime Harvard professor and Harvard Medal recipient, acclaimed author and Pulitzer Prize winner. For over 50 years, Professor Coles has stood as a steadfast model and moral exemplar of seeking justice, loving mercy, walking humbly. He is, in so many ways, the embodiment of what Phillips Brooks House Association is all about. And it is this call of service, lecture, and award that celebrates Dr. Coles' legacy and serves as an appropriate reminder of the positive difference his teachings challenge each and every one of us to have in this world. He stands, his legacy, the recipients of this reward challenge us to rise up to do our part in service for the cause of justice, for the cause of love. In 2000, a Crimson article notes of Dr. Coles, and I quote, "Instead of following the traditional and unfortunate academic sin of talking when no one is listening, Coles has made a career of listening to people no one ever bothered to even talk to." The people Coles listened to included the often unheard voices of the poor, the children, including a little 6-year-old girl named Ruby Bridges, who, when facing insufferable hatred and stress, was the first African-American child to desegregate an all-white school in the South. She would later reflect, "Bob was like a father to me. I owe so much to him." He was jokingly referred to as the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee's resident shrink, as he lent a caring ear to many of his students across the years. Dr. Coles used the power of his teaching and his pen to share those unheard voices with the rest of us and remind each of us that we have a responsibility to address the injustices in our community, whether they affect us directly or not. In the words of Martin Luther King Jr. in his letter from a Birmingham jail, we are all inextricably linked by a common fabric of humanity and garment of destiny. And as we honor Mayor Cruz this evening and are mindful of the unheard voices of our sisters and brothers in Puerto Rico, we strive to be true to Professor Coles' fine example. We're so honored to have you here, Professor Coles, along with your son, Michael. Thank you for being you, and thank you for continuing to inspire us.
Thank you so much, Reverend Walton. It's such an honor to share this space here at the Memorial Church with you and with Dr. Coles and with you all here tonight. We're also thrilled to have several special guests that are going to be joining PBHA tonight and recognizing our 2018 lecturer and awardee. First, we're pleased to welcome Mayor Mark McGovern of Cambridge, a true ally of justice who has prepared a special proclamation to mark this occasion. Following Mayor McGovern, we're also honored to welcome Vanessa Calderon Rosado, CEO of Inquilinos Boricuas en Acción, IBA, EVA. Thank you. Arabic gets you really far when it comes to pronunciation. To share reflections about our collective call of service to support Puerto Rico. PBHA is proud to have a deep history of partnership with the local Puerto Rican community, most notably through PBHA's Key Latch programs, serving youth in the South End and celebrating their 35th anniversary this weekend. We have also enjoyed a long-standing partnership with IBA from its inception, and we are happy to share they are celebrating their 50th anniversary this year. Joining Vanessa will be Harvard student and PBHA's alternative spring break volunteer who traveled to Puerto Rico to aid in disaster relief this year. Josenimeri Velasquez Carasquillo. Really trying. Carasquillo? Carasquillo. Following the lecture, Jose Masso, host of WBUR's Con Salsa and longtime community activist, will lead us in a brief Q&A period and introduce a special performance. Now excited to welcome Mayor McGovern up to the stage. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I got to get one of these for City Council. This is pretty cool. It's a pleasure to be here tonight, and I want to thank the Phillips Brooks House for inviting me to be part of tonight's events. It's a little strange, my memories growing up here in Cambridge of being in Harvard Yard, and this building is skateboarding down the steps and getting chased out by the Harvard police, so it's a little strange to be standing up here addressing all of you, but I'll take it. Before I conduct my official duties as Mayor of Cambridge with a proclamation, I just want to thank you, Mayor Cruz, for your leadership, your compassion, your courage, your empathy. I'm a social worker in my background, and seeing the way that just your passion and the way that you treat the people of your community is wonderful. And I can think of a few folks down in DC who might learn a thing or two from you, so thank you. So now it's my duty and my honor to present you with a proclamation, and I will read it. Whereas Mayor Carmen Yulín Cruz first arrived to the Boston metropolitan region as a student at Boston University, where she graduated cum laude in political science. And whereas Mayor Cruz received a full scholarship from the Sloan Foundation to pursue a Master's of Public Policy degree at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where she received the Spirit Award in recognition of her impact on the quality of life of her fellow students. And whereas she returned to the public sector, advising the city and state government in her home of Puerto Rico after the illustrious career in human resources, was elected representative at large for the Puerto Rico House of Representatives in 2008, and then mayor of San Juan in 2012. And whereas, an elected official, Mayor Cruz has been a longtime advocate for marginalized communities, including the LGBTQ+ individuals, the deaf community, children with disabilities, victims of gender-based violence, workers, and immigrants. And whereas she has frequently challenged the federal government to do more on behalf of Puerto Rico and its residents. On September 20th, 2017, Hurricane Maria completely devastated Puerto Rico, and Mayor Cruz became a strong advocate for getting much-needed help and dignified care for the people of Puerto Rico. And whereas Mayor Cruz received numerous awards and honors for her courage and service, including the Martin Luther King Center Justice, Peace and Freedom Award and Humanitarian Leadership Award in 2018, the Antonio Villagosa? Close enough? Okay. Leadership Award in 2018, the AIDS Healthcare Foundation Humanitarian Award in 2017, the Casa de Esperanza Award for Inspirational Leadership, the Hank Aaron Champion of Justice Award, and she was recognized as one of Essence's Woke 100 Women. And whereas this year, she was recognized on the Time list of the 100 most influential people in the world. Boston University conferred an honorary Doctor of Law on this past May, and in August, the Imogen Foundation honored her with their prestigious 2018 Humanitarian Award. And whereas her lifelong commitment to fighting for the people of San Juan and Puerto Rico embodies the spirit of the Phillips Brooks House Association's Robert Coles Call of Service Award, now therefore be it resolved that I, Mark McGovern, Mayor of the City of Cambridge, proclaim my hearty appreciation and congratulations to Mayor Cruz for her years of dedicated service, advocacy, activism, and her enduring commitment to social justice. And further, I do here present Mayor Cruz with a key to the city of Cambridge, a sign of our friendship and in gratitude for sharing her inspiration and courage with the people of our city. Signed this 26th day of October, 2018.
I think we have to pose. Turn it around. You got to strike the pose, right?
Yes,
Thank you so much. I'm honored. Thank you.
Buenas noches, damas y caballeros. Good evening. My name is Vanessa Calderon Rosado. I am the Chief Executive Officer of IBA, Inquilinos Boricuas en Acción in the South End. I have to say before I give you my brief remarks how honored and humbled I am to share the stage tonight with Mayor Cruz from San Juan. Thank you, Mayor, for all you've done. It's a true honor to be here with you. Thank you. So certainly I want also to recognize the great work of the Philip Brooks House Association for putting this event together. These events take a lot of effort and coordination and planning. So I would like us all to recognize the students that work so hard for it, the Executive Director, Maria Dominguez-Gray, Dr. Cole, and all the partners that help support and do this event, make this event possible, because it's a big undertaking. Thank you so much for doing it, all of you. Thank you. So I just want to briefly share a few reflections about why it's still urgent and important to continue to support Puerto Rico and the leadership of Mayor Cruz and the work that she's doing. And not only Puerto Rico, but also Puerto Ricans that have fled the island after the hurricane. So many of you may know that Puerto Rico was facing a tremendous financial crisis before Hurricane Irma and Maria hit the island. And while we're not going to go into there, because that's a whole different conversation and a long one as well, the infrastructure of the island was already weakened and suffering. And when the hurricanes hit, it just erased it off. It's just devastated everything, we know that. So today, a year and a month after the hurricane, we still see pockets, and you will hear more from the mayor, but you still see pockets of the island, especially in rural and poor areas, still suffering, not fully recovered from the devastation of the hurricane. And similarly, here in the mainland, what we see is a number of families that fled and that have been traumatized not only by having to face the hurricane, but also by having to face the hardship or securing permanent housing, of securing services and supports. So today, as we hear the mayor, think about how this is the Call to Service Award. Think about you, your communities, and the people that you work with, and your families and your friends can continue to find ways to support Puerto Ricans in the island and Puerto Ricans here in Massachusetts particularly. So hundreds of Puerto Ricans arrived to Massachusetts right after the hurricane. Most of them actually went to Western Massachusetts, to Springfield and primarily Holyoke. But many of them stayed in the greater Boston area. They stayed in Boston, in Chelsea, in Lawrence, in New Bedford, Worcester, so they really spread out through the state. At IBA, the organization that I lead, we worked very hard to provide supports to those displaced families, to help them find housing, to help them find, in that case was FEMA housing, so it was temporary housing, families who were living in hotels, and at the 11th hour feeling like they were going to be kicked out, and then they extended it for another 4, 5, 6 weeks. So it was a really traumatizing experience for them, built on top of what they have felt and lived in the island through the hurricane. So I want to close tonight by thanking you for being here. Your presence here is a message that you care because you heard from the mayor through the media, because you understand the kind of powerful leadership that she represents in making a difference, and because you know that you could also make a difference. So I hope that this evening will continue to ignite your call to service and help of the people of Puerto Rico, both here in the mainland, specifically in Massachusetts, and also in the island. Thank you so much.
Good evening. My name is Yasini Maribela Carrasquillo. I am a sophomore at Harvard College studying Romance languages and literature and computer science. I'm originally from Yabucoa, Puerto Rico as well. Last year, when Hurricane Maria hit, I was here in the United States mainland, and I witnessed everything from afar. I saw what was happening with my family and throughout the island, the devastation, the lack of resources, and the lack of help. I felt that I couldn't do much in that moment, but I desperately wanted to. When I heard that PBHA's Alternative Spring Break program was organizing a relief trip to Puerto Rico in the spring, I saw it as an opportunity to try to do my small part and help out with volunteering, fundraising, and whatever I could. That trip was the most fulfilling and impactful experience I have had at Harvard. When I got there, I was shocked. I saw trees stripped of their leaves and homes damaged or destroyed. During the trip, we visited a small barrio in Vega Baja. Meeting people and getting to know them was incredible. I still remember my surprise at their smiles and laughter in the face of hardship. They really reminded me of home as well. Because I was here, I didn't experience what they experienced, and I felt a responsibility to do something. So many people across Massachusetts, many of whom are in this room, felt that same responsibility and came together in support of Puerto Rico last year. Over a year after the hurricane, it is so important that we remain mindful and active collectivity to continue to support Puerto Rico recovery in the years ahead. Your attendance at this event is free tonight, but we do ask that if you are able, you take a moment to give back to Puerto Rico. We have a link to some local efforts in your program insert on our event webpage as well as pbha.org. When I heard that Mayor Cruz was coming to campus, I was so excited to hear from her because she had been such a voice for the Puerto Ricanos. I am so honored to be able to help recognize her amazing work with you all tonight. Thank you.
Muy buenas. Me llamo María Domínguez.
Hola, María.
Hola, ¿qué tal, Irak? Y soy la directora ejecutiva de los Phillips House Association. The Robert Coles Call of Service Award and Lecture was established in 2007 to honor a leader in social justice who embodies the courageous spirit and thoughtful approach to making a difference embodied in Dr. Cole's teaching and Phillips Brooks House Association's core values. As you have already heard, Carmen Yulín Cruz is the mayor of San Juan, Puerto Rico. She's a lifelong public servant who's made a career of supporting Puerto Rican politics since 1992. She's been a staunch advocate of women's, immigrant, LGBTQ, deaf, and labor rights, in addition to pushing for Puerto Rican self-determination throughout her career. Last year, following Hurricane Maria, she advocated for the much-needed help and dignified support for the people of Puerto Rico. Mayor Cruz courageously stood up and spoke out about the truth of the devastation when others remained silent, drawing international attention to the egregiously underestimated impact of the natural disaster. I've had the pleasure of getting to spend some time with Yulín over the past few days. She has been an incredibly staunch advocate for not just the call of service, but the call to truth, the call to integrity, the call to love. Mayor Cruz, Yulín, we thank you for your determination, your leadership, and the call that you have given us to recognize and act upon the inequities that are facing our communities. here in Puerto Rico and the world beyond. I would now like to invite you to come forward and receive your award and deliver your lecture.
Can you see me? Cecilia, you want to sit over there? Sit over there. I am the great-granddaughter of a sugarcane plantation worker. So you can imagine how humble I feel being in this prestigious institution tonight and getting an award from a man that has shown all of us what the world should be like. There's a reason why I asked Cecilia to sit there right front and center. You see, Cecilia and I have something in common. We're both dyslexic. And where other people see difficulties, we see just something that we have to overcome. Where other people see discomfort, we know that we have to push harder. Where other people think we may not be up to the task, Cecilia and I will show you each and every day that not only are we up to the task, but that people that have challenges all over the world are part of our everyday life. We may not know it, we may not think about it, but we are there amongst you. So it is in all our best interest to treat each other with kindness and love. Because when somebody tells me, oh my God, you're speaking slowly, what is wrong with you? I have to tell them there is nothing wrong with me. I am dyslexic. So please allow me to take a little longer to say what I have to tell you. Most people respond the appropriate way. When somebody needs help, they help them. When somebody has a life-changing experience, they share it. When somebody speaks the truth, they listen. But as Cecilia and I know, there will be people that will turn their backs on you. There will be people that will try to put you down. There will be those that will try to silence you because you are different. Not really different, but different from them. Because it takes you a little longer to add a longer number. We get there. We get it. And it isn't us that have to make the change. It is the thread of humanity. The tapestry of democracy will only be perfect and complete with each one of our threads. If one of those threads is missing, or one of them gets pulled out because we think it's different and we don't like it, we will forever leave a mark that will not make us whole. Dr. Martin Luther King used to say that injustice anywhere, injustice to one of us is a threat to justice for all of us. For all of us. On September 20th, our lives changed. I will never be the same that I was on that day. Because we got to experience something that no human being should have to experience. We experienced darkness. We experienced hatred. We experienced discrimination. And we literally were left to die. Those that were supposed to come to our help did not. And so on September 29th, I asked the people of this country and the people around the world to help. Somebody help us, was my cry. I am begging you, Mayday, SOS, we are dying here, and you are killing us with your bureaucracy and your inefficiency. When people ask for help, it's because they need it. When people ask for their lives to be taken into account, it's because they feel their lives are not being taken into account. So as I walked the streets of San Juan and listened to nothing, there were no dogs barking, there was no music playing, there was no electricity, there were no people on the streets. The only sound that I heard every so often was the pain and the sorrow and the screams and the cries of people that will now see in their homes turn into debris. Their whole lives in front of them. And all they wanted was food and water.